Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your January the 24th Spiritual Principle Day in a meditation. Let's go ahead and get into that screen. Greet this morning. Hope you're doing well. The title of the meditation, We Need Willingness Every Day. Through some combination of desperation, courage, anguish, and hope, we find willingness. That comes from our Guiding Principles book, Tradition 3, opening essay. Our willingness to admit being addicts who are powerless over our addiction in step 1 is linked to our willingness to be members of NA in tradition 3. They are complementary parts of the same surrender. Resistance, doubt, and fear may forestall our initial surrender to seek help by months or years, even decades. But they ultimately are no match for the array of emotions and experiences that drive our decision to let go and allow ourselves to be welcomed into the fellowship of NA. All of us have been newcomers to NA. Perhaps we're new right now. Regardless of the amount of clean time we have today, as we read this passage, we have a shared experience of active addiction that compelled us to try something different. We've all had a moment of desperation, or thousands, that brought us to this moment. No doubt we've experienced pain and anguish from using. We've had the courage to walk into an NA meeting for the first time. And whether or not we are feeling it today, we felt at least a flicker of hope for the future. All of this collective experience gives us the willingness to get through the day clean and to safeguard our NA membership. It's not uncommon for us to rethink our membership in NA at some point. We may be hurt by or experience abuse from another member. There may be a conflict in our home group or in our region that disheartens us. Our participation in the fellowship may fade because we're busy with our work, school, and family. Many of us have relapsed, and the reality is that many still will. But we can surrender again and again and again and recommit to NA if we're willing and if we make it back. To stay clean, experience the fullness of our lives in and out of NA. You guys, excuse me, let me repeat that. To stay clean, experience the fullness of our lives in and out of NA, and keep what we have so we can give it away. We need at least some willingness every day, no matter what emotions are driving it. Meeting the only requirement for membership is the easy part. I will summon the willingness to surrender once more and show up for my recovery today. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for the day, please and thank you. That is a powerful meditation. We need willingness every day. And when we talk about that, everything that brought us forward into Narcotics Anonymous served a purpose. It took what it took, but it will also take whatever it takes, right? So in essence, this meditation is saying, yeah, you made it here. And the only requirement for membership is the desire to stop using. But once you meet that requirement, the staying part also requires something, right? So what if a person came into the fellowship and they left and they came back and they left and they came back, right? What if they did? Who of us cares? In Narcotics Anonymous. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to say that in a salty way, but honestly, in Narcotics Anonymous, who of us has a right to point a finger at anyone that has relapsed and come back? It's the very place that they should come back to. It's safer to come back to us than to go anywhere else. What are you going to go? Go tell your job I relapsed after having 10 years clean? I'm using meth now. Really? Who else does that work for to only have a desire to stop? It works in Narcotics Anonymous, but once you get here, what brought you here, right, has to be the very same thing that keeps you, or at least a part of what keeps you here. It's fundamental. And so when an individual gets to the fellowship, no matter what kind of condition they're in, and no matter how often they've been in the fellowship, in recovery, they still have the same exact right that they had at the beginning. It's a right, but it's also a responsibility. It's not rules and regulations, right? They're rights and responsibilities. You have a right to be here, but you're a member when you say you are. The responsibility of that is daily maintenance. Newcomer told me something. They said, when the maintenance stops, the madness begins. And I said, where'd you get that? I mean, you got about 30 days clean. Where did you learn that at? I said, I heard that in the men's rap at the Chicago convention, right? They heard it at the men's rap. And I was like, that is phenomenal. I gotta take that and use that. And so we have to maintain our recovery. If we decide not to, at some point in time, the madness starts all over again. And we don't want that. We don't want that. There's a lot of things that take place in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. There's some people that come into Narcotics Anonymous and they are oblivious to area, the organization behind the scenes, right? The organization within the fellowship, the level of volunteer work. Service work is what we call it here. Out there, it's called volunteer work. Some people are oblivious to the level of service work that actually takes place behind the scenes to make every event happen, to make meetings happen, to allow literature to be received. These are things that people dedicate themselves to because they want to, not because they have to. And so today, when we're talking about we need willingness every day, where do you and where do I need to step up our recovery commitment? I can think of a few areas for me. And then start trying to imagine adjusting your circumstances so that you can be of service, or you can get through your step work. I have this one phenomenal individual that's just sort of, I don't know, maybe a little upset with the fellowship in some ways. You know, they seem to always have altercations and stuff. But when we talk, there's so much wisdom that comes from this person. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing that that hard exterior is really not who they are. That is not their authentic self. But to be able to sit down with them and have a conversation, there's no anger and violence. There's none of that. It's just a lot of recovery wisdom. And I think sometimes in that instance, maybe the behavior has caused people not to treat them in a manner that suits them, right? But we can change that, right? We have the choice of change. But we're the only ones that can do it for ourselves. I mean, the system could change you by throwing you in jail, right? But that's not a permanent reformation. It's not. And so we have an opportunity today to look at it. We have a choice. We have an opportunity to actually take a look at our recovery and make those changes that are needed. You know, membership is something that we decide on. No one can take it away from us. And the only requirement for membership is like the bar set at the basic desire to stop using. But there's more. There's a lot more. Some of it may seem difficult in the beginning, but after a while it becomes innate. And so we take our time to build a firm foundation in recovery And then we grow from there. And we start expanding ourselves outward so that our base is broader. And then the point of freedom becomes higher because our starting point is a lot broader. I encourage you today to take a look at your own recovery and see what you need to do different. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you have a beautiful day on purpose.